Hello, everybody. My name is Dan, and this is my series of practicing English. And today, I get very tired, and I was unhappy because many things I have to deal with, especially the work of my school. Today, I have 5 sections, 5 classes, and the final class is my mother class, and they really annoyed and they don't want to learn something. So I decided, okay, that's it. My responsibility is to give them the knowledge, and if they don't want to learn, why I have to keep focus on them anyway, and why I don't have to think careful on them again. So I decided to lift them over, let them away, lift them away. Okay, from now on. And today, when I got my grandma house, I decided to went to the gym. I went to the gym. Okay, go to the gym. I decided to go to the gym, and it took me about 200 200,000 Vietnam dong for one month of membership of at that gymnastic. So I think I hope I changed my body a little bit. I I have to fit before. I think I have to fit before take holiday, so I can choose many types of clothes for me to wear and keep practicing English. And this is not a time for me. Today I've just finished my test. My test. I gave my test for my head head for my head worker. So and hand out, hand in. Okay, hand in my test for my head worker for to her to watch again, to 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 look look over it again before it released. So I hope it get well. And today I keep practicing in chapter 4. Chapter 4. After 1 o'clock, the judge left the court for an hour. Anna Harlan talked to Sarah for 10 minutes. Sarah cried at first. I don't like that police lawyer. Those questions are very difficult. I couldn't answer them. It doesn't matter, her mother said. Your lawyer, Mr. Chen, is very good, and Stephen is here too now. We are going to help you. Sarah was angry. Don't talk to me about Stephen, she said. I don't like him. I don't want to see him here. But Sarah, he was your boyfriend for 2 years. He wants to have you. Sarah began to cry again. Perhaps he just wants to have me. I don't know. But he's different now, Mother. You don't understand. His eyes are different. There, I don't know. And he can't sit quietly and talk to people now. His body is moving all the time. He came to see me in our hotel the night before we came to this country, and I didn't like him, Mother. Why is he here? He doesn't love me now. I don't love him. Anna listened carefully to her daughter, and then she went to Mr. Chen and Inspector Azir. Stephen went with her. Who made the phone call to the police at the airport? She asked. We need to know that. Yes, Mr. Chen said. That's very important. Can't the police tell us? Perhaps, the inspector said. It's very difficult. It was not a long telephone call, and the man didn't give his name. Perhaps he wasn't a policeman, and he knew about the hearing. Perhaps, Mr. Chen said, but then Perhaps he put the heroin there and he wanted the police to fire it. Perhaps someone doesn't like your daughter, Miss Harland. I don't know, Anna said slowly, but perhaps. But then the judge came back into the courtroom and everybody stopped talking. The judge then called Hassan. Hassan stood up and went in front of the courtroom. He's a rich boy, Anna thought. That shirts and those shoes are very expensive. Hassan stood there, tall and very quiet, and he waited for the questions. He didn't look afraid, but when Mr. Chen looked at his paper and asked the first question, Hassan closed his eyes. Do you know about the heroin in those tubes of toothpaste? No, sir. Did Sarah know? No, sir. Who brought the toothpaste? Hassan closed his eyes again for 2 or 3 seconds, then his answer. I did, sir. You did? Are you sure of that? Yes, sir, I'm sure. I cleaned it aloft, you see. Hassan smiled for a moment. Well, he does have very white teeth, and thought. Shut up, Hassan began. Then he stopped. Yes? Again, Hassan closed his eyes and waited for a second. Then he looked at the jury and said very loudly, Sarah did not buy the toothpaste. I bought it. I bought on 3 tubes of toothpaste. It was my toothpaste. Anna sat up in her chair and looked carefully at Hassan. That's interesting, she thought. Perhaps he does love Sarah. I see, Mr. Chen said. When did you first meet Sarah Harland? About 2 months ago. I was in Australia. We were in the same hotel, and she had a difficult time with her boyfriend, and I helped her. And I looked at Stephen. He was very angry, and he hit the chair in front of him with his hand. I see, Mr. Chen said again. Then he asked his next questions. Do you usually carry a lot of money? How much money did you have at the airport? About 80 pounds, I think that's okay. When I need more money, I get some work for a week or 2. I don't need much money. And do you sometimes take heroin? No, sir, never. Thank you. Stay there, please. Mr. Chen sat down, and the police lawyer stood. He smiled at Hassan, but it was not a nice smile. Now, Hassan, you bought the toothpaste, but it was in Miss Harland's bag. Why? What did she carry for you? Or you always ask your woman to carry things for you? He smiled. Hassan said nothing. The lawyer began again. Do you have 80 pounds, you say? But 80,000 pounds is better than 80 pounds, I think. What do you think? Of course it is, but I don't sell heroin. It's wrong to sell heroin. The lawyer moved his paper on the table and looked at the jury. So you are very good. Your many very clean teeth, but no money. You met a young English girl. She was unhappy with her boyfriend, so you helped her and took her away with you. Is that right? Oh dear. It's a very, very good story, you know. I don't believe it, and I don't think the jury believes it, young man. He stopped for a minute. Then he looked at Hassan and said loudly, You don't love Sarah Harland, and she doesn't love you. You went with her because she could help you, and she went with you because she wanted the money. She carried the heroin for you to sell. That's right, isn't it? You put the heroin in the toothpaste tubes, and she knew about it. Is that the true story, young man? I think it is. No, Hassan began angrily, but the lawyer did not listen. He sat down. I have no more questions, he said to the judge. Chapter 5. The judge looked at his papers and then at the jury. It is now 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he said. We can begin again in the morning. Please here at 10 o'clock. The judge stood and left the courtroom. The jury left too, and the police took Sarah and Hassan back to the prison. And I looked at Stephen. "Well, young man," she said, "what can we do now? We have 16 hours before tomorrow morning." "I don't know," Stephen said. He looked at her for a minute. Then he looked away over her head at the front of the court. "I'm sure Hassan knew about the hearing," he said. "He put it in her bag. I'm sure he did. Sarah is innocent, but he isn't." Mr. Jane came and stood with them. "She is innocent," Stephen said again, "but Hassan is going to die." Mr. Jane looked at Stephen carefully. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "that did you listen to Hassan in court?" He said, "Sarah did not buy the toothpaste. It was my toothpaste." Now, why did he say that? It was not an easy thing to say, you know. What is jury going to think about it? "It doesn't matter," Stephen said angrily, "because it wasn't toothpaste and he didn't buy it in a shop. He made those tubes because he wanted to sell the heroin, and he's going to die. That's the law in this country." Anna looked at Stephen and said nothing. "He's very angry," she thought. "His face is red and he's talking very quickly. Does he want to kill Hassan? And what's the matter with his eyes?" Mr. Jane watched Stephen too. "But who made that telephone call? It's important, I want to know," he said. "I'm going to ask the police now. Would you like to come with me, Miss Harland?" "Yes, of course," Anna said. "Stephen, are you coming?" Yes. "Oh, no," Stephen said. "I'm going to meet a man. I think he can help us." "All right," Anna said. "But when I can meet you? I need to talk to you, but about Hassan." "Can I come to you? Can I come to your hotel tonight?" No, not tonight," Stephen said quickly. His face was now white, and he looked tired and ill. His hands and his body moved all the time. "Come to my hotel tomorrow morning by." He walked quickly out of the courtroom. Anna and Mr. Tin watched him. Inspector Azul was near the door, and he watched Stephen too. Chapter 6. I just think Stephen is the man who made the whole story. Chapter 6. Anna and Mr. Chen talked to the police, but the police could tell them nothing about the telephone call to the airport. Inspector Azul telephoned 2 or 3 people, and then he talked to Anna again. When Anna left Inspector Azul, she was much happier. Then she went to the prison to see Sarah. The man took her to Sarah's room. Anna and Sarah sat at the table, and the man stood and watched. "It was a bad day, Mother. I'm sorry," Sarah said slowly. Her eyes were now not red now, but she looked very tired. Her hands were near her mother's on the table. "It wasn't a very good day, that's true," Anna said. "But you have a very good lawyer, you know. The jury likes him." "But it doesn't help," Sarah said. "There was heroin in the toothpaste tubes, and the tubes were in my bag. What can Mr. Chen do? The heroins were in my bag, Mother. The jury knows that." Anna looked at her daughter carefully. "Perhaps Hassan put it here, put it there," Sarah said. "You liked him? And you know, he looked nice, but, Mother, I loved him. I said that in court, you hear me? And Hassan loves me too, and he does not buy or sell heroin. Sarah stopped talking, but her hands on her stomach. "What the master? What's the matter?" Anna asked. She looked at the man. Quickly, she yelled, "Get your daughter." The man ran from the room, and Anna put her arms round her daughter, and she waited. And then Sarah sat up. "It's all right, Mother," she said. Her face was very white, but she looked a little better. "It happens sometimes. Often ill and don't like to eat much, but it's not very bad. I think I'm going to stay alive because of it." She gave her mother a smile. "What? What are you saying? What are you talking about?" Anna cried. "My baby." Sarah's face looked different now, half smiling, half afraid. "Mother, don't be angry, please. I'm going to have a baby. It's Hassan's baby. We wanted to come inland and tell you about it there, but now we can't. I loved him, and he wants to be my husband, Mother. Mother, please don't be angry." Anna's face was white now. For nearly a minute, she couldn't say anything. She wanted to cry, but she didn't. At last, she said, "Oh, Sarah, what's going to happen to this baby?" Charlotte looked at her hands. "Nothing, Mother. I asked Mr. Chen about that. They can't kill me, you see, because I'm going to have a baby. They can't kill Mother and her baby. That's the law, but that doesn't help Hassan." Anna heard a noise and looked at the door. "Listen, Sarah," she said quickly, "before the doctor comes. I'm not angry. I do love you, Sarah, of course, but listen, I talked to Inspector Azir again today. I think he can help you, and Sarah Hassan too. So don't be afraid, please." And the doctor opened, and the man came in with the woman's daughter. Anna stood up. She took Sarah's hand. "I'm going now, Sarah, but don't be afraid. You're going to be all right. I'm sure of it." Chapter 7. The next morning, 4:30, Anna Harlan stood in a quiet room in front of the hotel. She waited, and then she heard a car behind the hotel. The car doors opened and closed. She waited quietly, and then looked down the road. A man walked into the road and stood next to the shop. He did not look at Anna, but Anna looked at him and smiled. Then she walked into the hotel. She went upstairs and knocked on the door of a bedroom. A man answered. "Who's it?" "It's me, Stephen," she said. Anna Harland. "Open the door, please. I want to talk to you." The door opened and Stephen looked out slowly. "Anna, what are you doing in here at the time?" Anna walked quickly into the room. "Yes, it's 4:30. Sharon is in the court again at 10 o'clock. I need your help, young man. Please get up." "But what can I do?" Anna looked at him. "You went to see a man last night. What happened? Can he help Sarah?" Stephen answered slowly. He did not look at Anna. "No, I'm sorry, he can't." Anna was cold and angry. "I see," she said. "Well, can you and I help her then? Tell me, Stephen, what do you know about Hassan?" "Hassan?" Stephen said angrily. "Well, we met him in Australia and Sarah went away with him. She doesn't understand him, but I do. He's a rich young man with a beautiful body. He likes playing with girls, but he doesn't love her." "And do you love her, Stephen?" Stephen did not answer at once. For 2 or 3 seconds, Anna waited. He doesn't know, she thought. He can't answer the question. "Yes, Miss Harland, of course I love her. But he's not looking at me," Anna thought. "He's looking out of the window. He's not thinking about Sarah." "Stephen," Anna said quietly, "did you go to see Sarah and Hassan in Australia the night before they came into this country?" Stephen looked at her. Yes, I went to the hotel," he said. "I asked Sarah to leave Hassan and come back to me." "How did you know that?" "Sarah told me, of course." "Was Hassan there?" "No, he Stephen stopped. Then he said, "What do you ask?" Anna opened her handbag. "Look at this," she said. "What is it? Did you know?" He looked at it and then at Anna. "A tube of toothpaste. Why?" "That's right. A policeman gave it to me, and it took from a man. You met that man last night, Stephen. You gave him 10 tubes of toothpaste. What was in those tubes of toothpaste, Stephen?" Stephen said nothing. He looked at the toothpaste and stood, but Anna was between him and the door. She gave the toothpaste to him. "Would you like to clean your teeth, Stephen?" He began to move to the door, but Anna took his arm. "You don't love Sarah, do you, Stephen? You hate her because she left you. You put 3 of these tubes in Sarah's bag, and then you phoned the police. You told them about the tubes in my daughter's bag. You want Sarah to die." "No," Stephen said. No, not Sarah hasn't. I put them in Hassan's bag, not Sarah's. I wanted Hassan to die." He opened the door quickly and then stopped. A man stood there, Inspector Azul. He put his hand on Stephen's arm. "It's an old story, young man," he said. "It happens every day. My first girlfriend left me for a new man. I was very angry too. I hated him, but I didn't want to kill him. Come on, let's go. You can tell your story to the judge." Chapter 8. I think this is the last chapter for the White Death. At even o'clock at the morning, Sarah and Hassan were free. Sarah stood with her mother, Inspector Azul, and Mr. Chen. She smiled happily. "Mother, you're wonderful. Now I can be happy. But how did you know about Stephen?" Inspector Azul answered. "Young woman," he said, "remember, your mother is a doctor. She knew Stephen was ill because of his eyes and his body. His eyes are very big and dark, and his body was always moving." "Well, yes," Anna said, "but you helped me, Sarah. You say he was different, remember?" And I looked at him carefully and began to think, hearing that 2 people. "He did very bad things," Sarah said slowly, "but I feel sorry for him now." "When he's going to court, Inspector?" "I don't know. The inspector say in 2 weeks, perhaps. But don't think about him. Would you like to see our beautiful country, Miss Harland? Where would you like to go?" Okay, that's it, the end for today's reading. Thank you for listening, and until next time, good night.